Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Story Saturday. Gonna just go ahead and take those off. Oh, get settled here. How is everybody doing? Cecilia, Goddess Cecilia is in the house. Hello. You're playing hooky today. I love that for you. I love hooky days. Trish, hello. Well, depending on where you're from, Franjo or Franjo. Solomon's in the house. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're going to give it a few minutes. Back pain is no joke, Cecilia. It is no joke. We will send healing, love, and light. Franjo. Franjo. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. I'm really big on pronunciating names the correct way because people always call me Cassie and it's actually Casey. So I'm always wanting to do that. So, but I have a terrible memory. So if I do it wrong again, it's not on purpose. I apologize. I try to practice in my head. Sheila, hello, Sheila from Georgia. She loves the Four Agreements. Me too. It's so simple and so potent, yet so difficult to do, right? Oh, making pasta for your son. There you go. Sign me up. You can make some pasta for me. I love pasta. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to give it a few minutes before I get started because I did have a lot of people sign up for this. So just going to probably give it like 5 minutes and then I'll start reading. Today's probably not going to be a super long session because chapter 4 is the shortest, I feel like, of all of them. But we will read it and see how our discussion goes after it because that's the whole part of it, right? Is really, I love doing this in the space because everybody kind of has a different take on it or focuses in on certain aspects of it, and having that discussion after can really turn you on to a different view or interpretation of it, help you digest the material. I don't know, I haven't seen her today, if she's back today, because I am recording these. So there will be replays of them if you are not able to be here. But I forget how many times she said, I know at least once she had tried to get into the book and she couldn't. And she has come to most of them and said that this platform and this way that we're doing it was helpful for her. So I love it. I love it, and I love doing it. I always need to revisit the Four Agreements. Oh, yeah. Also reading The Mastery of Love. Yes, my Isha, who is another teacher on here, is doing these as well. And she's reading The Mastery of Love. Absolutely. Yeah. So I really enjoy this and I enjoy this space. And I enjoy this format of doing it. So I'm probably going to keep this up, which I've mentioned before to the people who have been coming. We have after this week, we'll have 3 more weeks of the Four Agreements. And then I want to do Just One Thing by Rick Hanson, because that book lends itself very well to this format. Some books don't, some books are like 30, 40 pages a chapter. And like, this is not the space. You guys don't want to sit and listen to me talk and read for 40 pages, I can tell you. But its format is really good. It's broken up into sections. It's further broken up into things. And it's way more practical tools that you can use in everyday life. So I want to do that. Elizabeth, hello, welcome, welcome. We're giving it just a minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the reading. So for those of you who don't know me, who are new today, my name is Casey. I am a licensed mental health therapist. I am also a holistic health practitioner, Reiki master, and intuitive guide. I just started doing these 3 weeks ago. I do lives on Wednesday night called Wisdom Wednesday. That starts at 7:44 p.m. We do those every week. And those, I do an energy reading. Then I have pulled a card for the collective, and then I open it up for individual oracle card readings. And then I'm really digging deep. I've been in the creative bug majorly right now. So I put together yesterday. I'm going to do another live because it keeps coming up with people who are coming to my Wednesday night lives about star seeds. So I put together a live that's going to be next Friday night at 7:33 p.m. And that is kind of like a Star Seeds 101. That's going to be talking about what is a star seed, how do we figure out if we're a star seed, and then talking about the 13 different types of star seeds. And then this next Saturday, we'll be here reading chapter 5, the final agreement. And then there's 2 chapters after that. So without further ado, Elizabeth and Cecilia, are you guys following each other around on Insight Timer today? I love how that happens, though. You know, depending on where we are and the things we like and we're interested in, we see familiar faces. And that's something that's amazing about this platform for sure, that we don't get on a lot of other platforms, right? So if you are engaging with the material, when I'm liking it, you can throw up some hearts. When I'm reading, if you just want to focus on taking notes, if you want to take notes, if you just want to sit and listen, you can do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. So I will go ahead and get started. Caitlin made it. There she is. Hello, Caitlin. Let's see. Strolling through the IT streets together. I like that, Elizabeth. I like that. A lot of us are. A lot of us that have been chatting over here have been seeing each other for a long time, right? Many years across the Insight Timer streets. All right. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're reading the 4th chapter, the 3rd agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz. And this is Don't Make Assumptions. The 3rd agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make assumptions, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole world of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big metote in the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imaginations because we don't understand something. We make assumptions about the meaning. And when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it is not what we thought it was at all. An example: you are walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and say, "You should have known." Another example: you decide to get married and you make the assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and find out this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption without telling him what she wants. She makes an assumption that he knows her so well, that he knows what she wants, as if he can read her mind. She gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. They are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Again, we make this assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct, just that the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. And if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions. We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way that we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. This is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I am able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, that you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumption is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Then something happens between the two of you and you get hurt. Suddenly you see what you didn't want to see before, only now it is amplified by your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame them for your choices. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want him or her to be. Find someone whom you don't have to change at all. It is much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change that person. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she doesn't have to change you at all. If others feel they have to change you, that means they don't love you just the way you are. So why be with someone if you're not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are, so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with others are clear and impeccable. Just imagine the day you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communication will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, Everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. If you don't understand something, it is better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate clearly and cleanly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. With clear communication, all of your relationships will change, not only with your partner, but with everyone else. You won't need to make assumptions because everything becomes so clear. This is what I want. This is what you want. If we communicate in this way, our word becomes impeccable. If all humans could communicate in this way, with impeccability of the word, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings. All human problems would be resolved if we could just have good, clear communication. This, then, is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature, and you will see how the magic of your word transforms you from a black magician into a white magician. A white magician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your life will be completely transformed. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec. This is the path to personal freedom. Hmm. So, wow. Oh, wow. 76 people here now. Okay. Welcome to all who came in during the reading. Sorry for the cat that I think went flying by in the background while I was reading. So, how are we feeling about that? That's a big one, too. Like, all of these are big. Every week I say it, all of these are big ones because they are. They're big ones because they're simple, but they're so hard to do. Like, I remember being taught when I was younger the assume we make oh, what's it called? I'm terrible with like grammar English stuff. I think it was my grandparents, might have been my mom, I'm not sure, but I remember her saying, or someone saying, never assume. When you assume, it makes an ass out of you and me. And that's kind of how I remembered it, right? And it's true, but then they would never do that. We never communicated in our family. We never asked. We never expressed our wants and needs and things like that, right? So you're saying this to people, right? Oh, yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Joanne remembers it that way too. Yeah. Cecilia. Yeah, absolutely. And like it's easy to say that, right? But then even the people that were telling me that weren't doing that, right? They weren't doing that either. So that's how hard it is to do because of all these agreements that we have, this programming, right? What he calls, oh God, yeah, ADHD brain has been bad the past couple of days. So, um, domestication. I was like, I know it's going to come. Just give me a minute. Train comes back around on the track eventually. What he calls our domestication, right? As kids, when we were, influenced by our parents and our teachers. And, if we went to church, and if we were in organizations, whatever we were in, all of these people influenced the agreements that we made in our head of what we should do and what we shouldn't do, how we should act, how we shouldn't act, what we should say, what we shouldn't say. And communication is one of the biggest things that I see people struggling with, and it impacting their lives tremendously. That and the one from the week before, not taking things personally. People come in all the time, and I don't do couples therapy or family therapy, but I end up seeing individual clients and a lot of complaints about their partners and their spouses, and not exactly what he was talking about in the chapter. Well, they should know that I need the help with the laundry, and they should know that I need this, and I need this, and I need this. And I was like, but they don't. Have you told them that you need? Well, they should just know how, right? Because we don't, everybody doesn't think the same, especially like men and women, right? We don't. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's the way that it is. Whole books have been written about that, right? Our brains just think differently. So, and between each other, between all humans, no one of us probably thinks exactly the same way or has the same exact set of rules and expectations of what we believe from others or what we need or what we expect from others. How in the world is the other person supposed to know that? Seriously, like, how are they supposed to know? They're not. Um, he says to ask a lot of questions. I've always asked questions. Kids in school would get irritated with me. I still do it. I want the details behind whatever. Yeah, Caitlin. I mean, absolutely. We're never going to know answers, right? If we don't ask questions. There is no, like the other adage they say, or a good teacher should say is when people are like, oh, this might be a stupid question, there are no stupid questions, right? There are no stupid questions. If you need clarification on something, if you need additional information, if you don't ask, then what are you going to do? You're going to assume, right? You're going to assume. And that hamster wheel, I call it a hamster wheel because I'm like a visual person. So, like, it's just like when you get trapped in your mind, right? When you get stuck in a story, it literally is the same thing. Assumptions and stories are so similar. They're pretty much the same thing, right? So you create these whole scenarios, and man, your hamster wheel is turning and turning and turning and turning and turning and turning. You are running a marathon on that hamster wheel, right? And 99.9% of what you're thinking about is not going to happen. And it's not true, right? It's not. So recognizing that we cannot assume we know what people think. We cannot assume we know how people feel. We cannot assume that we know how what people need. Yes, we do know people very well. 100%. We get to know them. We get to know their habits. We get to know how to comfort them, what ways not to comfort them. Even still, you never are going to know unless you ask. And one of the things that I learned, and I don't remember when I learned it or who I learned it from, but if someone is going through something, I always say, how can I support you? And if they say, I don't know, I say, that's fine. Know that I am here and I am here to support you in any way that you need, because then they can tell me what they need. And if they don't know, that's fine. But when they do know, they know I just opened it up, that I'm here to support you in whatever way you need, not in a way that I need to make me feel better about the fact that I'm supporting you, because it isn't about me, right? Let's see. Cecilia said that was a huge game changer for me. Don't take things personally. 100%. I love getting younger. Well, not young kids. I don't do young kids anymore, but I love the younger clients, like my teen clients and my early 20s clients that are coming in with knowledge already. And learning these things young can be even a bigger game changer, right? Because how many of us in this room has it taken probably 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years to figure this stuff out, right? And we needed to. It was our path for a reason. I'm not saying all that, but think about how much different our life could have been if we had discovered this in our 20s. Not caring what people think, right? Not taking things personally, not making assumptions, being impeccable with our word, all of these things, right? Game changer, right? Game changer. And the problem is when you're direct, because I often 60 there. I know, that's what I say, Cecilia, though you never know. Yeah, like life is growth. If you stop growing and learning and changing, then that you're not doing something right, right? Because we constantly are evolving, right? We constantly are learning and growing and shaping ourselves into the person and the soul that we want to be, right? Well, not our soul. Our soul's our soul, but you know what I mean. Like we're constantly evolving and adapting and doing all the things that we have to. And if we don't, then what happens? We're stuck, right? We're stagnant and we're stuck. And you can definitely tell the people that are stagnant and stuck. I can 100% tell the people that are stagnant and stuck. And I mean, and that's their choice. Like he said, you cannot change people. And that's another assumption that people make, is that they can change people, and you cannot change people. I don't care how much you love them. I don't care what you want to do. You cannot change people. And I tell my therapy clients that too. I cannot change you. I cannot. I cannot change you. I am not Harry Potter, or well, I guess I'd probably be Hermione, right? I am not Hermione. I do not have a magic wand or a potion that I can give you that is going to magically change you and make you better. You have to change yourself. What I can do is walk beside you and help you learn the skills, the tools that you need to be able to do whatever it is somebody's coming into therapy with. But I'm not doing it. I'm not changing someone. And we get in these situations, we put ourselves in these situations because we haven't been clear with communication about what our needs, our wants, and our expectations are. And we think, oh, it'll get better. Or, oh, well, they'll change. Or, oh, well, this or that. And how many times have they actually done it? And then I mean, some people, yes, sometimes people do change because they're on their own journey of exploration and growth and everything. But if they're not going to change. And it isn't because they're a bad person. It isn't. It's just they're not going to change. They're not in that space mentally, probably physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of the above, that they're ready to do the hard work, because it's hard work, right? This is not easy. It's another thing I'm very big on realistic expectations. And I often get told that I have a very strong personality. And I often get told that I'm too direct. And I'm like, thank you. I don't take that as an insult. I take that as a compliment, because if you want to talk to me and work with me, have those expectations, because I am not going to assume anything about you. I'm going to ask you questions. I want you to ask me questions. I want this, to be interactive, because I don't want to have miscommunication. I don't want to have unrealistic expectations. I don't want to have assumptions. I want things to be clear cut. And that is seen as very aggressive in our society, right? Very aggressive. And that's what we need to try to change, right? Um, is this perception that expressing our feelings, needs, wants, desires, expectations is bad. How on earth could that ever be bad, right? But it is. Oh, they're needy, right? They're needy. They're too high maintenance. They're too this. They're too that. They're too whatever. Or the opposite. Or, well, they never care about anything. They just are like, fine, whatever. And I mean, I don't even know what they're thinking half the time. It goes both ways. But that has to change. Communication should never, never make you aggressive. I mean, unless you're coming at it in a very offensive and very I guess using aggressive language, but I studied nonviolent communication. And I know how to use I statements, and I know how to take the you out of it. So it takes the potential for defensiveness out of conversations with people. So they're not, when they're listening to me, they're not immediately going on the defensive and thinking about what they're going to reply to me. You know, they're like, oh, wait, okay, she's telling me how she feels about something. Okay. It's an amazing tool. Absolutely amazing tool that I feel like everyone should be forced to read in school at some point, because it's a game changer too with our communication. But yeah, just these assumptions can really wreak havoc, right? They can really wreak havoc in every single aspect of our life, because where do we have interactions with people? In every single aspect of our life, whether it's our job or our career, same thing, job, career, friends, relationships, intimate relationships, the person in the store, you know, it doesn't matter. If we're interacting with other humans, it's some form of relationship, right? And if you're making assumptions about that, how do you know? Like they say, you cannot tell by looking at someone their story. You cannot tell by looking at someone what they're going through. You can make assumptions. And I guarantee you, probably 99% of the time, you're wrong, right? Because unless they communicate it with you, you really don't know. You just don't know. All right, excuse me. Let's see. Caitlin says, tried 1,000 ways to Sunday, and you cannot change people. You can't. You absolutely can't. I learned that lesson the hard way a long time ago, but I still tried way longer than I should have myself. Jean says, I consider my therapist, my Sherpas, to help guide me through my life journey. Absolutely. I'm very big on that word. I'm huge on that word. I struggle with healer because healer implies that I have some power that you don't in my mind. And I think that's one of my assumptions and agreements that I still need to work through, because that's not true either. But I like the word guide better because of that reason. Absolutely. Every single one of us meet people that change our lives, right? Every single one of us do. And it's this mutual relationship that we have, that you probably have things that you've given to them that you don't even realize that you've given to them. So Farah says, I have been given the same feedback. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Strong personality. Like, I remember the first time somebody said that to me, and I just kind of like sat there for a minute, and I was like, in my head, like, what the F does that supposed to mean? You know, like, I was like, what? I was like, was that a compliment? Was that like a criticism? I was like, I don't even know how to even take that, or like what they even were trying to mean, because I was not where I am now. And I was still very much stuck in my humanness and in my stuff. And then that's what I realized, because they told me they actually were a friend of mine that I still talk to this day, and that's what they said. They said, you have a very strong personality because you're not afraid to speak your mind. You're not afraid to question things when they need to be questioned, and you're not afraid to stand up for things. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Is that wrong? And, you know, in certain situations, it can be in society, right? Let's see. Clint, I forgot to take the U out sometimes, and I see that instant shutdown. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's so hard. It is so hard. And like, this is, I like, I don't even know the words I want to use for this, but like, I don't regret going to school. I do not. I do truly enjoy being a mental health therapist, but most of the stuff that I use is not stuff that I learned in school in any way, shape, or form. And it is a lot of it, besides like some pretty good like evidence-based practices, like, yeah, CBT is great, but I don't use it as much as I thought I would. But like acceptance and commitment therapy, internal family systems, a couple like somatics, a couple other things I use way more. And a lot of the things literally are the simplest things that I did not need to go to school for, like that, like learning how to communicate. This, don't take things personally. I did not need to go to school to learn that, but I have to have a degree behind my name for anyone to supposedly take me seriously, which is another dumb thing too, right? But, it is so hard to do because we have literally insert age in your age that you are, and up until that age, this is how we've been taught to communicate. And most of us have also not been taught to communicate because we come from families that did not communicate well, that did not express their emotions, did not talk about their feelings, and normally probably shut you down if you tried to, right? Don't cry, toughen up. Why are you sad? You have nothing to be sad about. You've got a roof over your head. You've got clothes on your body, right? We've tried, and we've gotten shut down. So what do? We internalize and we learn, I can't share my feelings and needs because if I do, they're just going to be shut down. So we have to unfortunately unlearn. We get the burden, right? We get the burden of doing the work of unloading and unpacking all of these societal agreements that we don't agree with, and reworking those and finding the ones that we do agree with and creating our way. It is terribly hard, and I stumble with it at times still myself, and can catch myself trying to throw that you in there, because you literally are trying to rewire your brain and get your neurotransmitters firing on a different track instead of the same one that it's so used to going to, right? So Caitlin, I took it offensively, but I've learned it's a good thing to my people. Yeah, that's what they love about me. Absolutely. And it's exactly like what he said, right? If you truly express who you are and you are who you are, the people in your life love you for who you are because you are unapologetically yourself. And if people are trying to change you, you know that they don't authentically love you because they're trying to change aspects of you. And it doesn't mean, like, I'm saying that, I'm like, I don't like the way that sounds. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't like the way that came out. Because obviously we're human beings, every single person, we all have our quirks, we all have our idiosyncrasies. I'm not talking about stupid stuff like not putting the toilet seat down. Like the little things that irk us. Me, it's dishes in the sink. I literally cannot stand when dishes are left in the sink. I'm not talking about silly little stuff like that and trying to change that. Those are daily habits and things like that. We're talking about core things of a person's personality, the way that they speak, the way that they act, their words, their intentions, their actions. That's what we're talking about here, not those little things that we can be like, if you do not put your clothes in the hamper instead of on the floor, I am going to push you downstairs. Like not those little things. We're not talking about people can and can't change with that stuff. It's the big stuff, right? Mm. Mm. So that's kind of where we are. And it's like each week he's talked about it, right? Each week he's talked about just starting. It's not instantly going to magically happen, right? We literally have to retrain ourselves. And I feel like most of us know it takes 4 to 6 weeks of doing something consistently for our body and brain to even recognize it as a new habit. So being impeccable with your word, thinking about it, thinking about the words, the choice of the words, the way you're saying things, that's important, right? Not, oh, yeah, don't take anything personally, and then not making any assumptions, because it all builds on itself, right? Like do not take anything personally and don't make any assumptions. Those things are very similar, right? They're different, but they're also very similar, because when we take things personally, we're internalizing it, but it still is based off assumptions a lot of times, right? Like we were talking about last week, the person that cuts you off in traffic has no idea who you are. They're not personally out to get you. The, person that brushes past you in the store and is like, grumpy and whatever, they don't know you. It is not because of something you have done, right? But then guess what happens? And we talked about it in a different way last week, but we take it personally. What did I do? Da, 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 and it brings up all of this stuff, right? But basically what we're doing is, when we're taking it personally, is we're making an assumption. We're making an assumption about something from some interaction that we've had, whether it's verbal, physical, whatever it is. We're making this assumption about the other person's intentions, and that aren't normally going to be true. Last week I said, unless you specifically say something or do something to someone, the way that they respond to you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them and where they are. And assuming is the same thing, right? If you're assuming the way somebody said something to you, like, what does that mean? Da, 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 da. And then you don't ask. So now we're taking it personally, and now we're creating a story, right? And if we would have just said, can I have a little clarification on that? Like, the way that the tone came out, I'm not sure how to take that. Can you just explain to me a little bit more about like what your intention was with that statement, or what you were hoping I would get out of you telling me that statement? And then, yeah, Jean. Yeah, we said that earlier. Hi, Zach. Welcome. Yeah, we said that earlier. Absolutely. It does. It really does. And the person, like he said, you can ask a question, and the person has the right to say yes or no, as into responding to you. So the person can say, no, I don't want to clarify that. I feel like it was pretty self-explanatory. And then you can be like, okay, well, and then again, depending on what they said, is going to depend on what you do with it, kind of thing. But I can't even begin to express how liberating and freeing it is if you can literally do those things. Not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and being impeccable with your word. And it's not one of his things, but I'm going to throw in there learning that nonviolent communication, truly learning how to communicate your wants, feelings, and needs in a non-confrontational way. And all of those things can be game changers in literally every aspect of your life. They truly can. And yes, they are hard because they're so easy. They are. Like, I literally have examples in the worksheets that I give people. I have examples of taking an inflammatory statement and reworking it into a non-confrontational statement to give them examples, because you literally stare at the sentence and I did too when I was first doing it, and you're staring at the sentence and you're like, oh my Lord, like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin, how to move this around so that it doesn't say what I need it to say, but not sound terrible, like I'm attacking them. So, but if we're not making assumptions, that we don't have to do that as much. I feel, it's pretty much what it is. It's feel blank, insert emotion, when blank. And then if we have a request or need, blank. I feel frustrated when the clothes are always right in front of the hamper instead of in it. Is there a way we can compromise, and 50% of the time they make it in the hamper and 50% of the time they don't? I never used you. I never was blaming. Wasn't like, why can't you put the clothes in the hamper that is literally right in front of it? The tone of those two things are totally different, right? Can people argue with I statements? 100%. If they just want to argue, they're just going to want to argue. However, it lessens it, because it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're not coming at me. Okay, hold on. And then we don't have to be scared to have communication. We don't have to be scared to ask questions. We don't have to be scared to say our feelings and our needs and our wants, because we're not getting shut down for them. We're not having them deflected. We're not having all of those things that probably happened to most of us when we were younger, that then we go back to that inner child, right, and shut down. Because once again, our feelings, needs, and wants are not being listened to and heard, and they're not being validated. So yeah. So thoughts. Is this resonating with people? Have we tried this and struggled? Any obstacles or roadblocks? Are we doing this already? Do we want to do this? Oh, goodness. I feel like it can be, it's definitely work. And I feel like we have to be, again, realistic with our expectations. Are we going to magically transform and stop making assumptions in the next week or 2 weeks? No, you're not. It's just not going to happen. It takes time. It took us time to get the way we are. And it doesn't take as many years as you are old to undo the damage. No, not damage. I don't want to say damage. I don't like that word. Undo all of the agreements and conditioning, right? It doesn't take that long, but it's not going to be done in 2 weeks. So give yourself self-compassion and give yourself grace, right? You literally are trying to unlearn things that have been drilled into our subconscious since we were children. It takes time. Last week, I suggested maybe if you have a space, depending on your routine, like most people have a routine, whatever time you get up, whether it's morning or night, depending on, your schedule, most people go into a bathroom, right? Put a sticky note up. Don't take things, be impeccable with my word. Don't take things personally. And now we can add, don't make assumptions. Just as that gentle reminder, we're starting that conditioning again, right? These things, and then see how often you're doing it. And that was my suggestion in for skill 1 is if you're struggling with it, just start paying attention. That's all you have to do. If you're struggling and are a bit like, I don't know, am I making assumptions? Am I not? Just pay attention. Pay attention throughout your day. Are you getting stuck in your head? Are you creating stories out of nothing? Does somebody make a comment to you and it then throws off your whole mood in your day because you're in your head about it and you're thinking about it? Just start paying attention to how much or how little you are making assumptions on a daily basis. Start there. Just start by paying attention. Then you can start by, okay, how can I stop doing the assumptions? Well, that would be questions or letting it go. Or if I need to, asking questions, getting confirmation of things more, understanding it more. Yeah. Sorry, train went off the track again. So it'll come back. And then communicating clearly about your wants and needs, or just even that with the conversation. Like, I'm struggling here because I didn't really understand, and I want to clarify it so that I'm not making any assumptions, so that we both are on the same page, or we both have the same expectations about the end result. Because I don't want to say what you want, because I really try. Well, I guess I probably do say you way more than I should, but I think it also depends on what's come before you. You isn't a bad word. It's just we want to be careful how we're using it and when we're using it, for sure. But yes, communication. How many times have we all heard that? I know I'm sick of hearing it too, but unfortunately we hear it because it's true. It's true. So, yeah. So actually that went a lot longer than I thought it was going to with how short the chapter was. So, anybody have any closing statements, questions, anything like that? Next week, we get the final official agreement. And then we have 2 more chapters after that, which talk about breaking the Toltec path to freedom, breaking old agreements. And then the final chapter is 7, the new dream, where we're kind of putting all of this together and creating our own personal heaven on earth. So we've got, 3 more weeks of this. Like I said, I am recording them, and I have recorded all the previous ones. If you would like to find out more information, you can go to my Insight Timer Teacher profile, go to my About section, and there you can find more information about me and how to reach me. And yeah, Robin. Oh, thank you, Robin. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoy doing these too. This is something new for me, so I enjoy doing these as well. And I'm looking forward to keeping it going. So, for those that came in later than when I said this, and probably a lot, because I see we've got 124 in the room now. As long as there's interest, I plan on keeping this up. The next book that I'm looking at is Rick Hansen, Just One Thing, because it lends itself very well to the style in this format. But I'm always open to suggestions if people have, a book that they think would be good, that's not like 30, 40 pages or something a chapter, but that would lend itself. I'm absolutely open to things as well, because this is your space. Your space. You are very welcome, Jason. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, Robin, this is what we're reading right now is Don Miguel Ruiz, and it is the Four Agreements. And then, like I said, the next book I plan on doing is Rick Hansen, and it's Just One Thing. So I do not have my own book. But so I'm going to introduce myself again, since a lot of people have come in that I don't recognize your faces. So my name is Casey. I'm sure you've heard me mentioning as I'm talking about working with clients. I am a licensed mental health therapist. I'm also a holistic health practitioner, a Reiki master, and an intuitive guide. I was a user on Insight Timer for about 5 years. It's changed my life. And then I decided to become a teacher on here because I absolutely love this community and wanted to be able to be a part of it in a different way. I host consistently 2 lives a week. I do Wisdom Wednesdays at 7:44 p.m. I do energy and a brief energy read. I have channeled a card for the collective. I read that and then I open it up for individual oracle cards. I do this on Saturdays, every Saturday now at 4:33 p.m. I have been in a very deep, very deep channel with a spirit guide, and have been working on a lot of things behind the scenes, creativity wise. So lots of things are coming. I am a newer teacher. I don't have a lot of tracks right now, but I am working on creating. I'm trying to find a space that I can actually go to record that is going to be quiet, and that I might be able to have somebody help me a little bit with the quality of the tracks and things like that. So that's kind of holding up. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff written right now. I just need to get it recorded and then turned in. And then next Friday, I am doing a talk on star seeds. And that will be at 7:33 p.m. So we're going to talk about what is a star seed, how do we know if we are a star seed, and then it talks about the 13 main different types of star seeds. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Let's see. It's so nice doing this as a group. I agree, Elizabeth. I love it. It's like it's our own book club, right? It's our Insight Timer community book club where we get to read and then have these discussions and get different people's perspectives and takes on it that can help us ingest the material if we have struggled, or give us a different way of looking at it. So I am glad you enjoyed it. You can assume I take it personally that you did a great job. Thank you, Elizabeth. Lord, I was gardening while listening to this talk, and it was absolutely deeply resonating with me. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on this fine work. Oh, thank you, Ward. Thank you so much. God, that sounds perfect. Gardening while listening. I do stuff like that. Like if I am going on my walks, I always pop something in, whether it's a guided meditation or something like that. And it does outside, in the earth, grounded, gardening. I love that. Catherine came in late, what I heard. Yeah, absolutely, Catherine. I am recording all of these. So if you missed any of the ones, there is a way to do it. If you don't follow me already, give me a follow. I would certainly appreciate it. The more followers, the more hearts, you get during lives, the more people that rate and review your tracks. That's how, like, newer teachers that are not as big, that's how we slowly work our way up the algorithm. So I certainly appreciate all that, and all that's free. And we certainly appreciate it. But if you go to my Insight Timer teacher profile, go to my About section, that can tell you how to contact me to find out more information. So that's all I'm going to say, so I don't get in trouble, because I have. So, all right, everybody, it was absolutely wonderful. Hope to see everybody again next week for the fourth and final agreement. And if you feel called, you are welcome to join us. We have another amazing community on Wednesday nights that comes, a whole bunch that come pretty consistently. And then we get people, in and out and everything. And it's just a really powerful space. And then we'll see. Next Friday's new, so we'll see how that goes. But all right. So if it's your day, I hope you have a good rest of the day. If it's your night, I hope you have a good rest of the night. Cecilia, Goddess Cecilia, I'm so glad that you were here today. Oh, good. I will hop on a plane and be in California. And I don't know when. Hold on. But good luck. Good luck with cooking in your visit with your son. Robin, oh, I'm so glad you found this today too. Absolutely. I will, Elizabeth. And then is it somewhere we can meet, or she can ship it. You can ship pasta. So, all right, everybody. So great seeing you all today. Hope to see you again. Take care.